with an update on stars returning to WWE and more. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. During an interview with Ariel Helwani, former WCW president Eric Bischoff said this about making a return to WWE. If I was 20 years younger, in a heartbeat. If I get a phone call from my buddy Bruce and he says, hey, thinking about, kinda got an idea, interested in coming back, but I need one of your fingers. As long as it's on my left hand and not my right, I'd probably go for it. I loved my time there. I loved working with so many people. I can't say enough about the quality of people that work in WWE. It was a blessing to have the opportunity to work there. I'm 68 years old and I live in a beautiful part of Wyoming. At this point in time, I don't want to be away more than necessary. The idea of flying back and forth and doing TV, nah, not anymore. For that same interview, when asked about AEW being compared to WWE, Eric Bischoff said this about Tony Khan. No, nothing even remotely close to it. They have all the money in the world, which is a nice thing to have. Without vision and without true understanding of the industry, it's just a really cool hobby. It's just a really cool hobby, and that's what AEW is to Tony Khan. It's a really, really, really well-funded hobby that we all get to watch and participate in on television. But if you look at the creative and you look at some of these strategic decisions, leave the mess they have been in the last 6 months with CM Punk. It's ridiculous, and they bring CM Punk back one more time. I think that he won't be good for the morale. He's got a pattern that proves that. He's fragile as hell. He's not what people perceive him to be. He cannot live up to the expectations. He's not really that good. He's not really that much of a draw. He's raised the revenues for the pay-per-views when he first got to AEW because he's been off TV for a long time. He hadn't been in the wrestling ring, since he left WWE. I will give Phil Brooks some credit. He was able to keep that mystique intact. He didn't overexpose himself from the time he left WWE to the time he arrived in AEW, and because he didn't overexpose himself, he had a big impact when he first came in. When he first came in, ratings went up, but 3 weeks later they went right back down to where they were before. Mentioning his ongoing feud with AEW referee Aubrey Edwards, Jeff Jarrett revealed on his My World podcast, with all due respect to the word trios, if you don't mind, I'm going to refer to it as 6-person mixed tag team spectacular. Karen Jarrett doesn't know a wrestling hold. Not one. I can't speak for Aubrey, but I can speak for Karen and Conrad. You may or may not be able to speak for her, but I would say that Aubrey is in for an ass whooping. It's just kind of that simple. Folks, I could just go back to the 70s or 80s and here. Folks, if you're expecting to see a wrestling match, if you're expecting to see submission holds, if you're expecting to see this or that, don't come. I'll say that to kind of the AEW fan base. If you're expecting to see Uncle Dave, and I diplomatically say this with love, if you're expecting to see a 5-star or even a 4-star, we're not going to see that. We're going to see a senior citizen in Papa Briscoe and Aubrey Edwards, a glory hound, dramatic diva, ballet princess, Twinkle Toes herself. She is going to get paintbrushed from one end of DC to the other. She's going to want to change professions. She's not pretending to be a wrestler because she said she's not a wrestler, but she's probably going to want to hang up her stripes and get out of the wrestling business altogether. My greatest fear of that, not if but when Aubrey Edwards quit, is that I think, in some folks' eyes, I could become a fan favorite, and that is my worst nightmare. They don't like me, and I don't like them. Confirming he will be a commentator for AEW Collision, Tony Schiavone said on his podcast, I'm going to be going to both shows, Dynamite and Collision. I'm kind of looking forward to it. I think there was some more excitement built when we announced that CM Punk was returning, so I am pretty excited about it. I really am. Saying this about the first Collision being in Chicago, Schiavone noted, the United Center is a great venue. We've been there a number of times. It's great to be able to see Punk come back, and the United Center has been a great venue for us. We had Forbidden Door there a year ago. We've got Forbidden Door coming up at the end of this month. A lot of good things. Speaking about his affiliation with WWE, Hulk Hogan told the Full Send podcast, still work with the WWE. Gone to Saudi Arabia a couple of times and done stuff with Ric Flair, but nothing physical because my body shut down on me about 14 or 15 years ago, and I ended up having 26 surgeries in a row. Responding to a video of Jeff Hardy being approached by two people at an airport to sign a ton of pictures, Matt Hardy wrote, "Jeff doesn't actively look at anything on Twitter unless he has something to post, so I'm gonna address this. This is Def taking advantage of Jeff's kindness. If you see a wrestler in an airport and ask for an autograph or two, that's acceptable. This isn't, not appropriate or cool." Touching on a potential former tag team coming back together in WWE, Ringside News wrote that one fan tweeted out to BWE and asked, "DIY reunion anytime soon?" This question actually received a reply, and it's one that many fans wanted to hear. The proven WWE insider tweeted back a simple reply to say yes. No additional information was given, but this should confirm WWE's plan for their reunion. On the Under the Ring podcast, Rocky Romero mentioned how he was approached by WWE in 2016, saying, "So they really wanted me for the Cruiserweight Classic, and I was in between, or about to be in between contracts. I think I was in between contracts with New Japan, and we were renegotiating mine, and WWE was very interested. They wanted to offer me the Cruiserweight Classic, and then they wanted to offer me a coaching position, so I think if they didn't offer me the coaching position and they just offered me the Cruiserweight Classic, then I probably maybe would have waited a little bit longer to re-sign with New Japan, and I would have done that, but them offering me the coaching position made me feel like they didn't want me to wrestle, so that it wasn't maybe gonna go very far in the Cruiserweight, so I decided to not take it and re-sign with New Japan. I feel like the last 2 years have been some of the best years in the business, so I'm glad it did not take the coaching deal." Talking about AEW's previous plans to bring X-Pac into the company, Billy Gunn told Sportskeeda, "I don't know if that's the thing right now, because I think you'd be hard-pressed to get Tony to get me away from the Acclaimed right now. No, I mean, it would be great. I think we've tried to get Sean in here a couple of times. Things just didn't work out. I think if the time's right, I think he would be a great asset because he still has huge popularity, everybody knows him, and he's such a good guy that he would not only help the younger talent as well as be a good representative for our company. He'd be amazing if we could get him in here." Giving more details on this, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "It's not something current. He was last talked to in October and in May, so May and October of last year. So it's not something that's being currently talked about. It's something that happened we didn't even hear about at the time. Never got very far. It was never on paper. At different points, there was an idea for a singular appearance, not for a full-time deal. Maybe something to play off Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed, obviously, with a phone call that could change, but it isn't anything that there has been any talk since October in that direction." Speaking about Rush leaving AAA, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "The Rush situation is very interesting. I've not heard from anyone there in AAA, and nobody really has as far as AAA. They have not, as far as I know, addressed the situation. Obviously, it's a real bad situation. LA Park has been talking that he wants Rush to do the show because he's now left up in the lurch. AAA is getting a lot of heat for it, and perhaps justifiably so, because you put this thing together for 3 Triplemania, and LA Park and Rush are supposed to wrestle Sam Adonis and Psycho Clown in Tijuana on July 15th, and Rush has quit AAA and said he's going independently. He's also said he's looking for a contract, which is a very interesting thing. He is under contract to AEW, and we'll have to see how all of this plays out, but a lot of movement in the Rush situation, and AAA has not addressed it at all anywhere. With Drew McIntyre not having been seen in WWE since WrestleMania, he has been announced for an appearance by the company, as it was said that WWE today announced that WWE Superstar and Special Olympics Global Ambassador Drew McIntyre will attend the Special Olympics World Games 2023. The world's largest inclusive sports event featured thousands of athletes with intellectual disabilities, taking place in Berlin this month. The 2023 World Games, taking place from June 17th to 25th in Berlin, will be a colorful celebration promoting more recognition and inclusion of people with intellectual disabilities, and the first time the event will be hosted in Germany. The upcoming Special Olympics World Games is set to welcome more than 7,000 athletes representing 190 delegations competing in 26 sports with the support of 20,000 volunteers across 9 days full of sports and emotions. For an update on his contract status with WWE, PW Insider noted that there has been no update on McIntyre signing a new deal with the company, as his current deal is slated to expire in early 2024. We are told that a big crux of the current conversations between the two sides are how McIntyre will be used from a storyline perspective, particularly how meaningful the storyline will be. The belief is that with less than a year left on his deal, McIntyre doesn't want to be aimlessly floating when he has already proven during the pandemic how important he can be to the overall company, not just as an in-ring competitor, but as an overall ambassador to the brand. The belief is that until McIntyre and WWE come to an agreement on how he will be used going forward, he won't be back. We can't confirm WWE wants him back by Money in the Bank. Whether that happens, we will see. When it comes to the latest on a WWE return for Randy Orton, who's been out of action following a back surgery, this was said by Ringside News. BWE tweeted out a very interesting tease today, along with an animated GIF. The proven WWE insider said, "Prep yourself for a comeback shortly." The animated GIF he picked showed someone getting smashed in the face with a football. As the caption said, out of nowhere. Naturally, tons of fans thought about Randy Orton. BWE then followed up with a smiling Nick Cage photo, while he said, "Why y'all thought it was Randy?" So that return likely isn't the Vipers right now. Ringside News actually exclusively reported last month that Randy Orton did not have a heart attack. Randy Orton has a return date in the future. It's not this summer, but it is in this calendar year. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.